I hope I don't come off as overly pessimistic when I say I absolutely did not see that coming tonight, because, hey, Inter haven't lost a home Champions League tie for 3 years coming into this game tonight. And of course, they are only 1 point off the top of Serie A, are still the top side that they have been in recent years. And of course, Liverpool, on the other hand, well, they're the Liverpool of this season. They've really, really struggled. I mean, you watch any of my post-match reviews from this season, you'll get an idea of just how poor they've been. But they've gone to the San Siro tonight and they've won. And they've deserved to win, I think, even if it was a tight one and, maybe say a little bit of fortune in exactly how they've gone on to win it. I do think it was a deserved win for Liverpool this evening because, look, Arne Slot recently, and I have been critical of this in recent videos, but I also think you've got to acknowledge when it comes off and when it works is that, his approach to recent games after the Nottingham Forest game, after the PSV game back-to-back, he kind of thought, look, I really have to go back to basics. And I think a lot of fans were calling for that sort of approach, weren't they? Is just get back to being defensively solid and then you can see how you can work things out from there. And he's done that, in fairness to him. He's made the games, as I've said multiple times, a little bit boring, a little bit low event. And I think largely you have to say 20 minutes against Leeds aside, it has largely worked for Liverpool. And even in those 20 minutes against Leeds, it's a set piece and, of course, a penalty. So they've not given up huge open play chances throughout this run, albeit you do have to acknowledge the quality and the level of the sides they've been playing who are a little bit lower down the Premier League. But while it hasn't worked perfectly in the Premier League, you can at least see what the manager's been trying to do. And I did think coming into this, look, that approach, it's not been perfect in the Premier League. 5 points from a potential 9 is not good enough given who Liverpool were facing. But that could be the perfect approach to the Champions League. I genuinely thought that might work, particularly a Champions League away game as well, in a big one like this against an Inter Milan side, as I say, who, it's a really, really as tough an away game as you can get in this competition. And I do think we saw tonight proof that it is the kind of perfect approach for that sort of game. It was kind of reminiscent, really, of a kind of Rafa Benitez away performance that we've seen over the years. Jose Mourinho in his pomp as well, made his name on performances like that away from home in Europe, where it's very, very tight and you just manage to edge it somehow. You take all the sting out of the crowd. And I think Liverpool did a lot of those things, really, and they deserve good credit for it. I mean, they take 12 shots to Inter's 9, so they're just ahead on that. They take 5 shots on target to Inter's 2, which I think is a good measure that Liverpool were not cutting them open by any means, but they were creating slightly better quality opportunities. And of course, there's a penalty in there that kind of messes up the expected goals. So if you take that out, the non-penalty expected goals, again, Liverpool just narrowly edge it, 0.68 to 0.43. But they have edged it. They've gone away to Inter a game I did not think they would get anything out of, and they have edged the underlying numbers, and they've got themselves a win off the back of it. Now, you could say they're a little bit lucky to get the penalty. I think there's an argument around that one that it is a little bit soft and it's not necessarily sustained holding. But you could also say on the flip side of that, they were very unlucky to have the Canate goal ruled out. And just quickly on that, around penalties and handball and how UEFA work on these things, I do think it's crazy that, look, they know they've got a low bar on handballs, so just give it straight away. If you're going to give it, if you're not going to give the goal, if you're going to rule it out, just do it a little bit quicker. The moment I saw it hit Ekitike's hand, I didn't think it was fair, but I knew it was going to get ruled out. I would like them to move a little bit quicker on that, but that is by the by. But as I say, maybe Liverpool unlucky in that situation, got a little bit lucky to get the penalty. But the fact is, when I was thinking this, when the moment that the penalty hits the back of the net, a few weeks ago, would Liverpool have been in the position to be lucky there, to get this win, to snatch it at the death? And to be honest, you can't imagine that they would have been, because as I say, you go back to the Nottingham Forest game and the PSV game, Liverpool were not only bad going forward, but they were just dreadful defensively, so open, so easy to get at. And so they would have gone to Inter tonight, they would have given up chances, they would have been behind, and so even if they got that penalty late on, it would have been meaningless. But what they have got from Slot going back to basics is that extra solidity. And as I say, I know about Leeds, but you take those mad 20 minutes out of it, and I think the foundations have been kind of put in place there. And I've been hugely critical of the manager on this channel. Try always to be fair about that. But I think the fairest thing to do is to give him credit when he gets it right. And I absolutely think that he got it right in this one. I think several fundamentals of the performance were better than we have seen in recent weeks, and they were doing it against very, very tough opposition who, as I say, are incredibly strong at home. And so they put themselves in a position to earn that bit of luck at the end. And I think, like I say, want to give the manager credit for that, want to give the players credit for that as well, because, I just did not see this coming at all, did not expect it, and Liverpool have really pulled it out of the bag, and that is a big, big win for not just the team, but also, of course, the manager as well. I think it gives him a little bit of breathing room, given the pressure that he was under at the moment. Of course, it has to be better than this going forward. There has to be more to come. He certainly needs more in attack for me. Because I still think Liverpool, they've become more solid, but they've lost a little bit in terms of the creativity going forward. But where Liverpool were up to, what the situation they found themselves in, you absolutely take it, a result like this, and one particularly when it comes where you can't argue it's a robbery from Liverpool. There were elements there in the performance that you could argue they absolutely deserve to win this, and at the very least get a point, which would have been an absolutely credible result as well. So, and one you would take. So, yeah, like I say, credit to the manager, credit to the players, and I know there's a temptation at this point to kind of get into the whole thing around Mo Salah and how that links to this, and whether this is, shows this is Liverpool's future. I'm not going to get into that in this video, to be honest, because I just think there's been enough talk about it. I've written my opinions on my Substack if you want to read them. I spoke about them on the last video as well. So we'll just leave it at that for now, because, hey, it dominated all the coverage of this match tonight, and I think there's just been enough talking on it, really. And I don't think it's worthwhile reading too much into his absence and how that affected this match. It's just one match, isn't it, at the end of the day? And I think you can read too deeply into that. Now, before I get on to some of the performances, the individual performances, I want to remind you that, of course, my good friends at NordVPN are backing these recent videos and supporting them, and this one is no different. And of course, as per usual, you can get yourself a bargain by heading to nordvpn.com/LynchLFC. That link is in the description. Now, of course, anyone who watches these videos already knows the score about this in terms of what a VPN's for, but if you don't know, then of course you can change your virtual location using a VPN to 127 different countries if you've got a NordVPN account, which means you can access content from all over the world if it's geo-blocked in your location. It's kind of like teleporting around the world, and that means that obviously if you never miss a Liverpool game, and someone reminded me the other day actually that might not be a good thing to never miss a Liverpool game given the form, but hey, you would have missed out on tonight's victory, so it is important, and that's why NordVPN is worth getting. And of course it also keeps your personal information safe by hiding your IP address, which is a huge plus in terms of keeping hackers at bay. And of course, you can use your NordVPN account on 10 different devices as well. So iPad, iPhone, your Android phone, whatever you've got, you can use your NordVPN account on that. And of course, there is that Black Friday offer on at the moment, which gives you 4 extra months free when you purchase a 2-year plan, and it's completely risk-free with the 30-day money-back guarantee. And of course, as I always say, it massively supports the channel if you click that link as well. If you're thinking about getting a VPN, please do use that link. It's nordvpn.com/LynchLFC. So thank you very much to Nord as usual, and they are supporting a couple more videos yet as well, which I'm very, very grateful for. Now, back to the game itself, and I have to, of course, dish out some praise to some of the players, and I think you'll get an idea when I go through this that I thought that midfield was absolutely key to Liverpool controlling this match, not giving too much up, and obviously ultimately going on to win it. And I will start with Ryan Gravenberch, who I thought was hugely impressive on both sides of the ball. He won, in terms of his defensive work, 5 out of 10 duels won, 6 recoveries, 5 interceptions. He just always seemed to be there, very kind of reminiscent of the Gravenberch of last season, really. Those long legs getting there to kind of win the ball and shielding that back four really, really well. But of course, he's brilliant on the ball as well, and 7 passes into the final third. He got Liverpool on the attack. 2 out of 2 dribbles completed. How many times do we see those kind of trademark drop of the shoulder, and he progresses the ball that way? He gets Liverpool from defence into attack. Played a really, really big role in that one in terms of progressing things. And I have to say with Gravenberch, I think he's been a little bit off it recently. I don't think we've seen the best of him, but I really do think he was back to that tonight. It's one of his best performances in a while. And I know there's all that debate around him. Is he a natural defensive midfielder? Well, I think you can see in games like this, I mean, it's a really tough Champions League away game. Well, he looked every inch a defensive midfielder to me. And I mean, I think people forget, he's only 23 years old. He's going to have ups and downs. He's not going to be perfect all the time. He's got a lot to learn, and he's particularly young for a defensively minded midfielder, but it helps him when everybody around him is doing the jobs and the team's functioning, and you've not got errors being committed around him and making it really difficult to do his job. So I thought he was really, really good today and really helped Liverpool gain control in the match. I do think they largely controlled it. So really good performance from him. And of course, I think he was aided by a guy who was alongside him in midfield, which is Curtis Jones. Now, I think anybody who watches this channel knows I'm an absolutely massive fan of this player. And so I'm going to take every opportunity to praise him again. But we know the things that he brings to Liverpool's midfield, and it's exactly what he brought today. I mean, I'd almost say games like this, away from home in the Champions League, these tough ones where you need to keep the ball, you need to win it, you need to just be controlled. He's so perfect for them. He's a local lad, he's a Scouser. He's got such a kind of continental feel to the way he plays the game, I think. And look, he did exactly what you'd expect him to on the ball. 96% passing accuracy, which is the best of any player who played over 45 minutes in the game. He completes more passes than any other player with 67, which again, is generally centre-halves who are in those numbers. So impressive that his willingness to take the ball, to use it, to keep it, but he's also, and he is keeping it because his passing accuracy is high as well. He was moving it into the final third really well, line breaking passes in there. Some of the criticism he gets is that he's too safe. I didn't think that tonight. I thought he was really, really progressive for Liverpool. And of course, 5 out of 8 duels won. That's absolutely standard for Curtis Jones. He wins his battles. 3 out of 3 dribbles, and there's a couple of those that were absolutely brilliant as well, the way he kind of snakes through, almost reminiscent of what Gravenberch was doing alongside him as well. So yeah, like I say, absolutely love this player, love watching him, and I thought he was magnificent tonight and absolutely key to what Liverpool did. And of course, there is another midfielder who was key to Liverpool winning, and that was Dominik Szoboszlai. Now, we've spoken so many times about how good his season's been, and tonight was no different. I mean, start with the penalty. Nerves of steel in that moment, because there's that extra bit as well on top of it of kind of Mo Salah takes the pens. He's usually on the pitch here. You've got to step up. You're the guy who's kind of sort of playing in his position down that right-hand side a lot recently. You're now the penalty taker as well. How are you going to do in this big moment late in a game Liverpool could really do with winning? Well, he dispatches it absolutely no problem, as he does so often for his country as well. So, really, really impressive to put that away in that situation. And actually, it's interesting, really. His defensive numbers aren't that massive from the game. So, 2 out of 7 duels won, 1 interception, 3 recoveries. But that's the importance, I think, of kind of, you've got to use the eye test. You've got to combine the two. You can't just look at the numbers, because how many times was he there to cover someone off, to usher the ball out of play? You might not get a number on the sheet for that, but we could see it so many times. Or, someone gets beat, he's there to just at least slow the move down, to shepherd someone over, just to allow Liverpool to get back into shape. I've lost count of how many times that happened. And of course, it wasn't just kind of the defensive work in terms of getting back and those sorts of things. He was aggressive in it as well. He was the press leader. I thought the press was so much better tonight, by the way. In a WhatsApp group, first 45 minutes kind of message around to say, look, this is kind of, we haven't seen this for a long time. Who is this team? Where's this come from? Because I think the press has been, and I've been very, very critical about this season, but I think I have to acknowledge when it was so much better today, and I really do think it was. I think Liverpool seemed to get a lot more high turnovers. They were really boxing Inter in at times and forcing them to go long, and I think Szoboszlai was key to that. He always leads that press, but he was very, very good in it, and he was helped by others jumping with him. And I thought Liverpool, I've said that press has looked poorly coached this season. I did not think that tonight, and to do it away at Inter, of course, they've got to keep it going, but I thought that was really, really good. And like I say, I think Szoboszlai absolutely key to that, as he always has been when Liverpool have pressed well. But big moment from him tonight. Of course, to kind of wrap up, I guess the important thing to say is it's not just important for Slot, this result tonight, because of course Liverpool are now back into the top 8 in the Champions League. They may get knocked out after the games that will be played tomorrow, but they are back in there now. And of course, we know that is all important. You need to kind of avoid those extra playoff games, don't you? And to be honest, when they got beaten by PSV at home and beaten quite heavily, I didn't think there was a possibility Liverpool were going to get in the top 8. I thought they'd be squeezing into that top 24, playing in a playoff, and that would add another couple of fixtures to the fixture list, which would be a bit of a nightmare. But somehow, by going away to Inter now and getting a win that we didn't expect, they're right back in the hunt for top 8. And look, it doesn't matter if you finish top as long as you get in that top 8. You know, Liverpool are proof of that last season. They finished in the top spot, only lost one game, won the rest, and then, of course, got PSG, who won it and got knocked out. So just get into that top 8 by hook or by crook. And, of course, the next 2 games, Marseille, tricky trip away to Marseille. You have to say it's not an easy one. But, of course, it's not as difficult as Inter away. So that gives you encouragement. And then Qarabag at Anfield, which, you know, with all due respect to them, you would expect Liverpool to win. So starting to feel like there's a possibility there for Liverpool to get into that top 8. And we've seen some good performances in the Champions League. And, you know, can Liverpool build? Can they get better? Can they grow into this competition as it goes on? If so, you know, they might give themselves a chance. Maybe I'm being overly optimistic after one really good result. But, hey, you know, you've got to look at seasons like that. And that's the story Liverpool in the dressing room have kind of got to tell themselves, really. So, you know, they've got to use this now, and those next 2, make sure you get through in the top 8 and just give yourself a chance to do something crazy this season and get something out of the season, because it's certainly not going to be a title win, that's for sure. But of course, before then, before they think about the top 8, the Champions League again, it's Brighton up next at the weekend, and that's the first step. That's where Liverpool have got to look at now and think, we've got to build on this. We're going to be tired. Brighton are going to be coming into it fresh after a free midweek. Can we really show the signs of champions? Can we do a bit more in attack than we've been doing recently, but keep this defensive solidity and get a good result? Of course, there's all the noise in the meantime about Mo Salah, and we'll be hearing a lot more about that in the press conference. But I think for the players who are involved, if that's Salah or not, and for the manager, build on this result, make the most of it, because I think there was a lot of elements of the performance today that were massively improved on what we've seen recently. Something you could get behind, not a lucky win, a win where they gave themselves a chance, they stuck in there, they worked hard, and they defended well. And then if you do that in an away game, you give yourself an opportunity to win, and Liverpool took that. So a lot more positive, I think, tonight, and that's because it was both a good result and a good performance and something to take forward. I haven't said that enough this season, so let's see if Liverpool can do anything with that. But going to leave it there. Ask for your comments, your thoughts on all that. Really interested to hear what you thought about it. I thought a very good performance, and I've had to delve into some negativity recently, but thankfully not tonight. But do leave your thoughts on that. You can like and subscribe. I hugely appreciate that. And of course, don't forget about that deal on NordVPN.com/Lynch LFC, and I'll see you guys very soon.